Hello and welcome to Ula Tea Leaf Readings. My name is Lenor and tonight I'm going to be reading your tea leaves. This is a horoscope for Capricorn. If Capricorn is your solar, lunar, ascendant / rising sign, then this is a message for you. All right, let's get started. And so Capricorn, this is a bonus reading. And tonight, we're going to be using the Tarot of the Hermetic, or is it the Hermetic Tarot? It's the Hermetic Tarot, which I try to use different cards for the bonus readings. And we have the Nine of Cups. I was very happy to see the card of happiness, right? So let's go ahead and see how this kind of goes along with these tea leaves. And immediately I see a face right here. But I want to thank you so much for deciding to click on the video, check out a tea leaf reading. Maybe you've never seen one. Maybe this is all new to you. Maybe you are a seasoned veteran, whatever side you kind of land on. Thank you. Thank you for being here. So let's go ahead. We're just going to jump right in. So we have the face. Okay, immediately it gives like a vibe of, I almost feel like feeling remorseful. You know, maybe even an energy of seeing a pattern emerging that you have witnessed before, right? And this might be within yourself. This might be exterior. It could be within the home, workplace, friends group, family, any of these places, right? And I feel like there's just this real sense of dread. That's what it comes down to. It feels like dread. Worrying that there's maybe kind of a backsliding, going back into an old way of living, right? But I feel like this must be in the past because we have this like happy energy, but I feel like there is this face and I just can't help but think that this is kind of like the starting point, right? This was where we began, but we're kind of like coming out of it. Maybe this issue has started to resolve itself. Maybe, and this is true for me. When there is some kind of problem, or at least the perception of something beginning to become a problem, I have to get proactive. If I sit there and just kind of turn my wheels and ruminate and catastrophize, I'm in trouble. But when I get proactive, there's movement. It feels like there's some perceived control, right? And so I feel you, instead of kind of just sitting and waiting, getting involved, getting going, taking the steps to manage this issue, or even, really stop it before it really begins. Okay, so whatever this might be. We also have the letter W, and I want to go down here. We have, it looks like 222, okay? We also have the number 56, okay? So 222 and also 56. 2 seems to be a really important number. Here we also have a repeating 2 over here. And again with this face. Look, this one's, just sad. Sorrowful. Now I want to look at this. We have a person standing here. We have a flower growing. Okay. We also have what looks like kind of either a satyr or maybe a kind of devil archetype kind of energy here. And it looks like kind of standing behind this person, trying to scare them. You can see the arms raised here. Here's the head. This is the other person right here with the face looking towards the flower. Okay? So I almost kind of get this feeling of, like I said, like coming to this realization that there is some kind of falling back into what you don't want to. Maybe, for me, it's addiction, right? I am in recovery. I've been in recovery for almost 10 years now. And I'm an addict, right? It's not just substances. It can manifest as anything, right? Food, spending money, just spiraling into, negative thinking. I know that seems like a weird one to be addicted to, but it feels like home, And sometimes we do. We just dwell in those places where, it's like this old, like maybe you grew up in like me. I grew up in a household that was difficult. Very, very toxic and negative energy for years, right? And you go out into the world and you try to shed these things, but sometimes, right, they come back around. This feeling comes back around and you just immerse yourself in it because it feels normal. But it is stifling. It is painful. And it can be very destructive for our lives. So I feel you really pushing back and deciding to look for, and that's the flower, look for the positive things in your life, the things that you can do, your opportunities. If you could imagine standing in a room full of different doors. So many options here. Now, it might not feel like it. That's one of the things that happens to us human beings, right? We feel very limited quite often. But it's just not the truth. We could be living, a life that is unfulfilling. We're struggling. We're going from one job that we dislike to the next. And quite literally, picking up and moving to a new town, deciding to cut out certain aspects of your life, friendships that don't serve you well, relationships within your family that do not serve you well, doing the self-work, whatever it is. It doesn't take a lot. I mean, those things do sound like a lot, but even just moving. I think about this a lot because when I get stuck, and I get stuck in a cycle of just everything is terrible. Why? I think to myself, if I just picked up and moved like 3 towns over, or maybe I picked up and moved to the ocean, picked up and moved to the mountains, it's a whole different way of living. Now, it's not going to fix those core problems, but it is. There is an opportunity always to change what is going on. And it is often as simple as picking up and leaving. I mean, that's not that simple and it's expensive. I get that. Maybe even I need to update this in my mind because, this is something I've used for myself as a motivation to get out of that stinking thinking since I was young. And when you're young, you can just fill up a backpack and move across the country. I've done it more than once. As an older person with a family, maybe not so accessible, right? But the option is there. And that is the freedom. Okay? So, I see you really looking for these things, these little openings where you can, take hold of your life, be in control, and feel that power. That's what this is about. Now, as we turned it, we have the person who has picked the flower. chosen. Chosen that, and I just am imagining, it's like the path of the sun, right? Choosing to dwell in the light, at least for now. Choosing to do the thing, even if it's the harder option, that you know is going to lead you to where you want to go. Now I'm going to turn this again. We have the same person, it looks like here. And I want to keep looking. I want to turn it this way too. So this is interesting. So we have the same person here. And it looks like they almost have like a little dog or a sheep or even maybe a pig. You can see the eye, the ears, the little snoot. Okay. We also have a snake over here. And it looks like we have a mer person here. You can see their tail. Here's the head, and they're kind of sitting there. We have a person beneath them. And we have an exclamation mark right here. So the pig, immediately I'm going to relate to Circe, right? The goddess. This is a middle goddess. This is a goddess that's kind of a huntress, kind of a trickster. I mean, maybe not technically that, but one of magic, kind of has a little bit of a sharp personality. Wants what they want, right? So we have that energy, but we also have, it almost seems like, and I want to turn this really quick, because when we go like this, the flower is kind of put down. I almost imagine like kind of replanting this thing. And then we see the person headed towards here's the head of the person. Here's the body. And then they're looking forward, headed towards the mountain. Now the mountain is symbolic of the spiritual path. We can think of the Holy Mountain. Now, if you've never seen Jodorowsky's Holy Mountain, the movie, yes, it is kind of strange and it's very symbolic, but it's beautiful. And it really encapsulates not only the hero's journey, but the ascension of the practitioner. Also, a lot of really interesting stuff about alchemy, Hermeticism, Sub Rosa, and low magic, high magic, all of it. Beautiful movie. Go check it out if you've never seen it. But also, it is. It's when we decide, I'm going to take this lifestyle, this path, this meaning of my life seriously, and I'm going to do what it takes. Now, if you've ever known anybody, or maybe you yourself are somebody who hikes or climbs, rocks and things, or maybe it is that you climb mountains. This is not something you just like show up, you pay all the money to go to, Mount Everest or whatever, and you just show up. No, there's a lot of training involved. There's a lot of work that goes into conditioning oneself so that they can climb that mountain and hopefully summit, right? So this really is, it's about the work, because we're down here at the base of the mountain, and you are doing that work to prepare yourself, okay? To get into that spiritual zone. And it might be a religious system, it could be a well-formed spiritual system, a philosophy, the sciences, whatever it is that makes you feel that thing. And you know that thing. It's something beyond the mundane. It's something that lifts you up out of the physical world, gets you in your mind, gets you in your spirit. And I see you really devoted to that this next year. Okay? Now, I wanted to go back. We have that, like I said, that kind of almost with Circe's there is a sense of loneliness, but also wanting to control, right? This sense of almost being alienated and finding, just coming upon or happening upon kind of their, like a friendship that you're forcing, right? A partnership that you're forcing, holding captive, right? And so I'm looking at this and I feel like there is this sense of maybe a relationship that has the undertones of like a mutual destruction, right? Have you ever had this kind of thing where it's like you know so much about each other that you have to stay friends, right? I think this is something that happens most often when we're young, and we feel like we put a lot of stock into what people think about us, how they, perceive us. And so we are often willing to keep friendships even if they're not good ones, because we don't want to be made a fool of, we don't want to be exposed, or maybe the person has some kind of social clout and, or connections or whatever it is. And yeah, you stay in the friendship because it is, at least seems to be beneficial in that way, or could possibly be beneficial. Well, I think that in this time, there is going to be a separation from this kind of, and it really does feel kind of like a toxic relationship, almost maybe codependent. Or maybe not even maybe it's not codependent, maybe it's more like a Stockholm syndrome kind of thing, where you don't really always notice how this person treats you because you're so used to it. Where other people might witness in public how your best friend is like cussing you out or, calling you names or putting you down, and they're like appalled. That's just like a normal thing for you because they've always acted like this. And you give them a lot of pardons. Wow. I don't think it's going to last forever. Okay, I'm just going to say that. And that might be something that's hard to hear because even now you might be thinking, well, they're not that bad. I've known them forever. It's always been like this. We're just kidding with each other. But you would be amazed what it's like to be relieved of this kind of tumultuous energy. There used to be that term, your frenemy, right? Ooh, I don't know about what masculine friendships are like, but I know what it's like to be friends with women, and I know what it's like for you to hit that point in your relationship where you become frenemies, right? Not fun. In fact, I will never, ever, ever have that kind of relationship again because I have seen life without it. Who wants to be worried about what somebody's going to do all the time? Who wants to worry about what they're saying about you, what you can show them, what you can reveal about yourself, because you have no idea what this person's going to do. And also just the disrespect. It just, when you are being disrespected constantly and that starts to feel like kind of normal, that really, it erodes some part of you. And to be free of that is a lightness in our lives that you can't explain until you've had it. So I do feel this kind of turning away. Now, we also have, it looks like maybe the initials EG or ES right here, okay? We also have now we have the siren up here. And we have the person, but it feels almost like a love that is sustainable. Usually when we see the mer person, I'll say, okay, well, this is somebody calling for you in the night, right? This is somebody that may cause ruin in your life. But I almost kind of, and usually I would not even say this because it seems like bad logic. But I almost feel like there is somebody in your life, and I feel like this is probably romantic, where the person may appear to be careless, destructive, selfish, but as you are close to them, and I know, I almost am thinking, like, are you hopping from one friendship to this, like, turbulent relationship? But it's like in private, they are devoted to you. Not even just in private. I think in reality, in function, this person is very devoted and loyal. Just maybe perceived as being strange, or I don't know what it is. I almost wonder if it's like, well, I'm a neurodivergent person myself, and I'm married to somebody who's also neurodivergent. And I can tell you that our perceptions of ourselves, although shifting, of course, sometimes it's hard to know how other people experience you, right? Opposed to how we experience ourselves. And I think this is true of everybody, but I know that within my communities of neurodivergent people, it seems very pronounced. Now, it doesn't mean that you necessarily care how other people see you or feel about you, but I do think that I can truly understand how different people can take you. I mean, like night and day, right? And so I feel like this person, it almost maybe their personality is maybe very unique. They're very like eccentric, possibly. Maybe they are neurodivergent. The way that they communicate, express themselves might be, well, I mean, kind of uncomfortable or off-putting to people in your life. But for you, you speak the same language. Like, you understand this person. And so I feel a real beautiful love story here. And learning and growing together. Now, I am leaning towards this being romantic, but maybe it's not. This could be a family member, a grandchild. It could be a new friend or an ongoing friendship. But I do feel like this person, because they are coming up while we're talking about this other troubled relationship, I feel like this is a friendship that you will lean into. This is where you're going to find some refuge and support while you maybe are detaching from somebody who does not treat you well, does not talk to you with the respect that you deserve. And so I do feel, and I'm not saying this is like the only place you're deriving your courage from, but I do feel like there is kind of a safety in knowing that somebody has your back, right? And so I feel like whatever friendship, relationship this is, definitely be active in it, okay? All right, we also have the number 33. I have the house. I feel there seems to be almost a something to do with like a grandparent's house, a family maybe returning to your town of origin. I think that this journey is going to be important for you. I almost wonder if you're considering moving home, like what you would call home, right? At least it's, you know, something that you're thinking about. I feel like that's something that is going to be maybe considered more seriously as this cycle of time goes on into the new year. Okay, so we have the letters T, it looks like T-I, T-T, maybe T-T, T-T, and we also have, it looks like an I, lowercase I. Okay, if those letters mean anything to you, we also have the question mark, and we have flowers. These ones are just stems and leaves. It feels to me like these are, it's like, as you're trying to decide which way you're going here, you're perceiving things to kind of pass you by. Like, I've waited too long, I'm getting too old to do this, I don't have enough time, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough energy, but it's all there, right? And we have this lovely way of constantly talking ourselves out of doing things that might end up being really beneficial to our lives. Because maybe we feel like we've missed our opportunity, right? Or it's not the right time right now, you know? But it is the right time. It's always the right time. And I feel like for you, it's about trying to stop focusing on what you haven't done, what you have missed kind of the window of time, or at least you perceive that, things that felt unfair, or your circumstances weren't equal to those around you, or whatever it is. Getting out of that mind prison and just pushing forward. I think that's absolutely the biggest hurdle, not only for you, but for all of us, right? This is what keeps us doing the same thing, even though we're unhappy, even though it's unfulfilling, even though there's no meaningful thing to come of how we're living, right? At least it doesn't feel meaningful in the moment. And so I feel like here it's really about fighting that, like, well, I should have done that when I was 20. I'm too old to do it now, but you never know. The thing I think about a lot was when I was in grade school, elementary school when this happened. I think it was maybe in 5th grade. And I never played any instruments. They were asking the class who is interested in joining band and going and picking an instrument. Well, I didn't know how to play any. I, grew up around a lot of music and some musicians. But I had thought in my mind, well, all of my, classmates that are going to join have stood up to go join band. They've already had a year or two. Well, I'm behind, so I shouldn't start. I was super young. And I think about that still. And it just absolutely blows my mind. Where did I get this idea that I was too old to begin? But it still happens. There's plenty of things that we tell ourselves, oh, I can't do that, I'm too old, but it's not the reality. So fighting against that self-talk, that falsehood. Now let's do our lucky numbers. I'm gonna go ahead and roll. All right, we have number 27, 71, and 84. All right. And we'll just finish off here with our Wild Offering Oracle cards. And I'm just going to go ahead and flip through. Stop where it feels right. And we have spaciousness. What do I no longer need? Help me, God, to release whatever people, places, or things. Whatever people, places, or things drain my vital essence. Whatever is draining me, you know. Show me what will fill. Show me what will fill me with enthusiasm and joy. Show me what will fill me with enthusiasm and joy. Yeah, and this is what the whole reading is about. You know, sometimes it is. We have to make the hard decisions with people, you know. I am both somebody who has had I have a couple friends, one in particular I've known my whole life, and we're still very close. But I've also been a person who has cut out a lot of people from my life. A lot of people. Core people even. And, you know, and it's not easy. It's not easy. But sometimes it's absolutely what we need to do. And it is the only thing at times, right, that gives us the opportunity to head towards those moments of happiness. And so the work begins. Okay, Capricorn, the work begins. All right, I'm going to go ahead and tell you I love you because I do. Thank you for spending your time with me. It is my honor to be able to bring these messages to you. And if you want to like, subscribe, leave a comment, I would love to hear from you. I want you to hear this loud, loud, loud. Happy New Year. It's going to be a good one. It really is. And what else? Yeah, be safe. Take care of each other. We're going to talk in a few days. Good night.